Hello students, I am Namrata Panya, Assistant Professor, English Department, LJ Institute of Applied Sciences. In this video, we are going to talk about the first chapter from your Unit 1, that is Profit and Loss. Now remember students, this is according to the revised version of your syllabus. So let's get started. Let us first talk about the author. Profit and Loss is basically a short story written by Rabindranath Tagore, who was also a Bengali poet, short story writer, song composer, essayist, and playwright. History remembers him as one of the most versatile artists of 20th century India, and he was also well known for introducing Indian culture to the West. Well known as the first non-European to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature, he is also the author of National Anthem for both India and Bangladesh. Let us now move on and talk about the story. Profit and Loss is a very heart-touching short story because it has a combination of otherworld charm as well as contemporary relevance. This happens because the theme of the story is dowry, which is a recurring evil in Indian society. The plot does not bring anything new to the readers. In fact, one would feel as if one is reading about a common occurrence of crime in a newspaper. It is this realization, though, of being so attuned to the crimes related to dowry that makes us want to read the story further. The story revolves around Nirupama, daughter born to the family of 5 sons. She is brought up with a lot of love and care and is the apple of her father's eye. Even her name means unparalleled, unequaled. This is how her father sees her. When she comes of age, and it is time to get her married, Ramsundar starts looking for a noble family to marry her into. Now, he looks a lot and finally comes across the Rai Bahadurs, who are a family with a socially uplifted status, and finds their son as a suitable groom for his daughter. As the wedding is decided, so is the dowry of rupees 10,000. Now, this amount is too much for Ramsundar to pay, but he accepts the amount very immediately as he does not want to lose such a good son-in-law. He sells and pawns much of his property, and even after doing so much, he is only able to raise 6,000 to 7,000 rupees by the time of the wedding. He makes arrangements with a lender to come to the wedding day and pay the money, but the lender does not arrive. When Ramsundar is unable to pay the amount in full, the Rai Bahadurs refuse to go forward with the wedding. They are demanding the full dowry amount. The joyous day is turned into a day of misery and horror as Nirupama is sitting in the mandap all alone and Rai Bahadurs are refusing to go forward with the wedding, while Ramsundar is continuously promising them that he will pay the amount after the wedding and that they should just let the wedding complete. Silver lining arrives in the form of the groom. The groom has received Western education and hence his views on dowry are different from the others. Going against his family's wishes, he agrees to marry Nirupama. He says he wants Nirupama and not the money. Nirupama gets married to a morally upright deputy magistrate. But Nirupama has now lost the status of the daughter-in-law of the house. She is never considered part of the family. She is constantly criticized and looked down upon. Her beauty, her character, her virtues, everything becomes insignificant in front of the unpaid dowry amount. She is continuously verbally abused and tortured. Ramsundar, who is even right now trying to gather money for dowry, is not given any respect. Whenever he tries to visit Nirupama, he is treated worse than the servant of the house. After a point, Ramsundar is stopped from meeting Nirupama completely. It is then that he realizes what is happening with his daughter in that house. He vows to pay the left amount to the Rai Bahadurs and he tries his best to gather as much money as possible. After trying a lot, when he does not find any other way, he tries to sell his own house. When Ramsundar tries to sell his house, his sons find out. After going to the Rai Bahadur's house, Ramsundar tries to pay the money to the Rai Bahadurs, but the Rai Bahadurs are not at home. Nirupama receives him as well. Here, he is followed by his sons and a final confrontation happens. The sons tell Nirupama everything and they beg Ramsundar to not give the money to the Rai Bahadurs and to not sell the house, as if he does so, the sons will become homeless as well. Nirupama finally realizes how much her family is suffering because of her dowry. She puts her foot down and she forbids Ramsundar from giving more money to the in-laws. Ramsundar leaves the house one more time, dejected and feeling ashamed of himself. After Ramsundar leaves, Nirupama loses all the will to live. She starts withering away due to loneliness and heartache. When her in-laws find out that she has refused the money that Ramsundar had brought, they start neglecting her as well. Nirupama stops taking care of herself. She deliberately exposes herself to cold and she does not feed herself on time. Even the servants do not look after her. After catching a cold, Nirupama begs her mother-in-law to let her meet her father one last time, but her mother-in-law does not approve, thinking that she is only making excuses. She does not even call a doctor for Nirupama. Due to the neglect, Nirupama dies after some time because she has not received any treatment. She is then cremated in a lavish manner by her in-laws. They call everyone from the society to the funeral and cremate her in the most extravagant way possible. They are praised by the society for being ideal in-laws, and Nirupama is considered as lucky for being their daughter-in-law. At the end of the story, Nirupama's husband writes a letter asking his parents to send his wife to him as he has finally settled down. He does not know that his wife has passed away because of the mental abuse and torture done by his parents. In reply to this letter, the Rai Bahadurs tell him that Nirupama has passed away. After this, they mention that they have found another bride for him, and this time they have asked for a dowry of rupees 20,000. This is the end of the chapter. The end shows us just how greedy the Rai Bahadurs are. Though we do not find out whether their son agrees to the second marriage or not, as his reply is not added at the end. We do not know whether their greed is satisfied this second time or not. But the mention of another girl and even more dowry makes us realize that dowry is a very dangerous social evil and it is also a never-ending cycle. Nirupama's death shows us the consequences of encouraging such a social evil. It shows us the bleak reality of Indian society. This chapter is relevant even today as a lot of the women in our society are still going through the same pain caused by dowry. They are still a victim of this evil custom. With this last thought, I would like to end this video. Thank you.